Hello, it's William. Welcome to my channel. So you're watching a series of video of how to use Asprite to create pixel art as well as pixel art animation and all the assets that I can use for my game. So you have been warned. I'm not a pro of a pixel art as well as a pro of Asprite. Still a beginner myself, but I already like try and error a lot, so I can save you guys a few days of figuring out some of the specific problem. And because I'm a beginner myself, I can also share a beginner's perspective. So I will like answer some of the goofy questions that the beginning have. Okay. So let's do it. Well, let's go back. So I already downloaded and then opened Asprite. If you did not download it, really simple. You just search Asprite, you download it. You can try. I believe there's like a trial version here. You can buy now. They automatically, I believe the default thing is like using Steam to buy it. And the advantage of using Steam is that you can constantly update, right? It's just like you bought some game on Steam, you can constantly update. The trial version will not save file, yeah, so you won't be able to save it. But at least you can try things out. I strongly recommend this if you're specific using this for creation of a pixel art. Is better than Photoshop in my opinion, because I used Photoshop, I used it. I think this is better. Okay, and if you do not want to pay anything, this is also on GitHub. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me just get rid of this one. It's also on GitHub, so you can actually go to the GitHub page. Okay, you can actually search for this and download the source code. But it's in the source code, so you have to build yourself. You have to like make all that. But it's a source code. I believe you already can do whatever you want with the source code. But I'm not. I haven't read this term of service yet. But just for your information, it's open source. So in terms of the source code is open, so you can actually grab it and try things out. But I strongly recommend that you actually buy it, and it will save you a lot of hassle. Okay, so yeah, so I already bought this software and I opened it, and let's get directly to it. So let's start by creating a project. So let's get a new file. Okay, so this is the width and height that I changed for my like background. But normally you get like I believe it's 32 or something like that. So it's 32 by 32. Okay, pixel. So it's literally just 32 by 32 pixel. So it's pretty small compared to say Photoshop is like a 100,000 pixel. So it's pretty small, and it's intended to be this way. And I strongly recommend just use this ratio. Okay, especially if you're a beginner like me, do not start with a very small one. Sometimes I think people will like stick with this one. Okay, 16 by 16, or sometimes they're crazy enough to 8 by 8. Let me show you why this is not a good idea. In my opinion, this is my personal opinion, the last pixel of pixel art does not mean that it's easier, but in fact, when it shrinks to a certain level, it becomes pretty hard, because I'm sort of thinking this like difficulty as a like like a function. When the pixel shrink, the difficulty shrinks and then increase sharply. Okay, let me show you why. Let's just create. Say you create crazy enough by 8 by 8. Okay, you just click OK, and you can see it's really small. And I'm going to move my head a little bit. Oh my god, I just moved the whole screen. Sorry about that. I'm going to move my head a little bit. And I'm going to scroll it in. Right now I'm using Apple's Magic Mouse. And I'm going to change this back. That's because you need to a middle wheel in order to scroll, in order to like zoom in. Okay, so if you zoom in, you will be able to notice this is like a really, really small canvas. And even though the brush size right now is like a 2 pixel, it's still pretty big. So I have to shrink it all the way to 1, and still it's pretty big. If you think about this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright? So 8 pixel means 8 by 8. So you got 8 and 8. It's really, really hard for you to actually create something. I still remember when I was a kid, there's like a gadget that you can use to put in your pocket. It's like semi Pokemon, semi like digital pen sort of thing. So this is kind of digital pixel art reminds me of that. So it's like really, really small. And if you think about it, you just draw a circle and you nearly take all of the screen. Oh my gosh. So 8 by 8, there's like you have to like hugely conceptualize things and make it really, really simple in order to represent things. So for example, I just draw a circle. I nearly take all the space. And draw, say, an eye. I take like no place for mouse now. So for example, if I like draw a mouse, I can't possibly draw a mouse this way. So if I draw this way, there will be like no mouse at all. So I have to draw something like this, okay? Or completely omit mouse altogether. And there's no place for, say, the body, the hand, like the head. You can't possibly do that, okay? So 8 by 8, in my opinion, is like the most difficult challenge of all. And the 16 by 16 will give you some sort of leeway, okay? So if you got like 16 by 16, you can sort of have some, body, have some sort of body, but still it's really, really hard. So for example, 1 pixel, 16 by 16, right? And I can draw some sort of like a head, okay? And yeah, let's we'll talk about pixel perfect. Let's just do this, okay? This will like automatically correct some of the stroke. We got place for head, a smile, if you will, but you have to plan it because it's really, really hard. You can't just sketch and then modify. And then a body, and hand, and leg, okay? So yeah, you can sort of do that, but you have to make the head extremely big. And why is that? If you think about this, it's out of necessity because we want to focus on the head because we got, say, different direction of the head and different expression of the head. So the head must be pretty big. If it's just shrink 1 pixel less, like this, you won't be able to distinguish the eye and the mouse. So it's really, really restricted. It's like you're wearing a shackle, but you try to dance. Okay? So you're restricted just to do not have like wiggle space. Not only not 1 pixel wiggle space, because if you just wiggle 1 little bit, they will be connected to the eye. Okay, you don't want to do that. So it's still pretty hard. So my recommendation, let's go back to don't save. Okay, so my recommendation is to start with 32 by 32, and I believe is also the default setting of Asprite, and it gives you a lot of leeway, but still small enough so you can focus on the whole design rather than some detail. And the color mode, color modes are red, green, blue, and alpha components. That's pretty good because unless you get like a completely like a hardcore pixel art, you want that specific black and white to grayscale or index. But my recommendation is that using the so how to say that, R, red, green, RGB, okay, so not RPG, yeah. So red, green, blue, and alpha. Okay, RGBA because alpha. Yeah, and transparent background. I recommend that because if you like, you're going to apply that to to the game. You can use this. Advanced options. You can have specific square ratio or double digit. Once is like one pixel is like different sizes. I think the square is good enough. So if you choose 32, it's much better. Okay. So by the way, this is like 1 by 1. That's better because it's a kind of like convention to do that unless you are design something extremely creative. Okay. So let's just use this 32 as an example. So even though you open that, you still will get the result like this. It's still as if it's just a 4 pixel, but it's much bigger. Trust me. If you just scroll it in, let's zoom it in. Okay, as you can see, you got much more creative space. Okay, and as you can see, you can like design a lot of things. You can design a head, like a hair. You can got this expression here. You can get like a body without just drawing stick man, like hand, like a leg. You can like draw him like walking or standing, chilling. You can even like got a cape. Okay, you can do a lot of things. As I can see, you got like a double. It's like double. It's like 4 times the creative space because like width doubled, height doubled 4 times, 4 times more. Okay, that's pretty good. So yeah, let's talk about. I'm using Command Z here. Okay, I'm going to undo everything, and let's talk about the the basic thing inside of Asprite. So before we actually draw something, I want to adjust the setting a tiny little bit because when I draw things, I tend to squint a little bit. So because the pixel art is, to be honest, pretty small, but in order to create it, you have to deliberately add different pixel on this canvas, and that will result you lost in the detail. You focus too much. So normally I would have a preview. So I will search help preview and got a preview. Of course, you can go to view, okay, and preview and click preview or F7, okay. And then we got a preview, okay, pretty good. I tend to make it a little bit smaller, okay. So maybe put it here so I can get the whole picture, okay. I can get a like really squinted out picture because, to be honest, pixel art normally, if you like create a tile or something like that, you go back to the game engine that you are actively. By the way, I'm developing a game, okay, in another channel, Code was really jumping. So yeah, you're more than welcome to check it out. So if I'm like doing that in a game, it will be pretty small like this, okay, even smaller. You can of course scroll the middle of the wheel. You can make it smaller like this. So you know exactly what you are doing. So for example, I draw like a man, something like that. Okay, you guys can see it's pretty small. Okay, so sometimes you don't want that because you can't. If it's like designed to be this big, you can't be able to see it. So you have to make it this big, or you have to rethink the design. Okay, you have to rethink this by if it's this small, I have to make the whole head way bigger and more bigger eyes in order to actually show it in a very small canvas. So for example, I would just doing some alienish thing, and the body I'm going to make it pretty small, okay, and I'm going to use a bucket tool. So it's a G for bucket tool. Of course, you can hover here, paint bucket, shortcut for G. Okay, and then it's like an alien, so a grain sort of thing. Okay, so you can then click, you'll paint this, and then you can sort of look at here, it's so much better, because if you shrink this pretty small, you have to make the design like more prominent. Okay, so let's go back here, and I believe the hand, the body need to be strengthened, so I have to make it more prominent. So that's so much better. Okay, and you can like make it bigger so you guys can actually see what's going on. Okay, so then you can make animation. Okay, so yeah, and here is a trick. Right now we're using pencil tool, so if you're using Photoshop, don't use brush but rather using pencil. That will give you more control of one pixel. Of course, if you want to get like thicker line, you can like make it 2. Okay, so you guys can see I changed that, and we can make it 4, really big. But you guys can see the pencil's shape is changing. So for example, if I get it to 8, it'll be much more prominent. Okay, it's kind of a rounded shape. That's because you are choosing brush type of this rounded. So if you've got like a pixel perfect thing, you can choose this one. Okay, so it's a square, and then you can shrink it all the way to 1. I believe it's shrink it enough just to 1. Just to 1, these two will be exactly the same. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. But if you got like a 4 or 5, just to make it bigger, the brush size will matter. Okay, because this one is rounded, the other is square. Okay, and of course you can then draw this way. Of course you got like a mouse. Okay, this perfect square mouse as well. Of course, if you look at here, this is like a perfect square mouse, and not so perfect rounded but pixelated square mouse. We have completely different results. If you look at here, okay, we have a completely different result. So that really depends on you. And maybe you guys already noticed that the pixel perfect suggestion. So if you switch it off and using, say, the rounded brush, let me show you. So if I use, say, 1 pixel, even just 1 pixel, I draw something. As you can see, we got this thing here, right? Depending on the pressure apply, sometimes you got wider, sometimes I got this like a breaking of the pixel, and then sometimes got something like this. So it's pretty weird. But if you are using pixel perfect and you draw, even though you like draw it pretty hard, you will smooth things and make pixel perfect, which means there's no doubling here. So for example, you won't get something like this. Okay, you won't get something like this. So it's not technically, it's not a brush. It's like 1 pixel and like a pixel perfect. But if you change that to 2, still you can get a pixel perfect result. Let's just using E to erase things. So basically E is for eraser. Okay, eraser tool, and then B for this. Still pixel perfect, but it's still pixel. Okay, so hope you guys can quickly get this. Okay, and I think that's pretty much all. Yeah, final bonus tip. So for example, if you want to draw straight lines, you can use this straight line tool for L, and then you can draw straight line. Okay, you can like, let's do, I think it did not, sorry, I did not switch that to L. Okay, so okay, so if you click and hold, I'm using a digital pen here, you can get a straight line. Okay, but here is another tip. If you are using the pencil, you can click this here and holding shift, and then you can draw a line. Okay, and still is pixel perfect, so you can draw any line here, and then tab, it will be a line. Okay, so it's like a sword or something. Okay, you can still do that. So it's like a two-way, but I think holding shift and click and drag is much more easier way of doing things. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all for this video. And next video we're going to introduce the rest of the functionality that I think is important. And by the way, I'm not going to like explain every detail. It's just not like a manual. It's more like what I learned and what I think is the most important thing. So you can quickly catch up, like condense my time to just a few videos, because I spent like weeks on this software. So you can like save you guys a little bit of time, and I will answer, because I am a beginner, so I will answer all these beginners questions and issues and some of the problems that I encounter as a beginner. Okay, so don't forget to give me a thumb up, subscribe to my channel, right? Thanks, bye.